Scandinavia, a region composed of Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. The three Nordic nations may only have a population of just under 22 million, but they're exceptional in many different ways. Scandinavia's infrastructure, societal structure, and innovation is all world-renowned and uses examples around the world. Scandinavia is used to punching above their weight, and football is no exception. Denmark, Sweden, and Norway all boast impressive national teams despite being relatively small countries. Erling Haaland is the greatest striker in world football on his day. Alexander Isak is one of the Premier League's finest strikers, and his countryman Victor Gyökeres is one of the most sought-out talismen in Europe. Martin Odegaard and Christian Norgard are some of the Premier League's finest midfielders. I couldn't help but think, what would a Scandinavian national team look like if all three nations combined forces? Now, in a region such as Europe, where there's an unreal amount of footballing talent condensed into one area, it might seem quite obvious that combining three entire nations would create an overpowered national team. But when you realize that Scandinavia's total of 22 million people would make them the 10th most populous country in Europe, and would still have less people than nations such as Poland and Ukraine, it kind of evens out in the end. Today, we're going to be looking at what a combined Scandinavian national team would look like, including a most valuable squad, as well as what my personal picks would be. I'm just going to head and assume that I would be the manager if this were to happen. I mean, I went to Denmark, Norway, and Sweden earlier this year, so I think it's fair. I've gone ahead and built the most valuable 26-man squad between Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian players. Starting off, we have Chelsea and Denmark goalie Philip Jorgensen between the posts, and another Dane at left back, and Man United's Patrick Dorgu. Atalanta and Sweden centre-back Isaac Hein will join forces with Fulham and Denmark stalwart Joachim Andersen, and BVB and Norway right-back Julian Ryerson will complete the back line. I've decided to go with a 4-2-2-2, and Denmark and Sporting CP's Morten Humand will be forming a pivot with Arsenal and Norway's Martin Odegaard. Dejan Kulusevski of Spurs will be occupying the wing with his countryman Anthony Elanga, and fellow Swede Newcastle United man Alexander Isak will be forming a lethal strike partnership with Norway and Man City's Erling Haaland. Keep in mind, this starting 11 is solely done off current market value, and it equals a total of 647 million euros. As for the bench, we have Denmark's Mads Hermansen and Sweden's Victor Johansson acting as backup goalkeepers, and Norway's Christopher Ager, as well as Danish trio Victor Christensen, Joachim Mæhle, and Rasmus Christensen will relieve the defense. Sweden's Hugo Larsson and Lucas Bergvall, as well as Denmark's Mikkel Damsgaard and Norway's Sander Berger, with the backup midfielders. Finally, we have Jorgen Strand Larsen, Antonio Nusa, Alexander Sorloth, Rasmus Højlund, and Victor Gyökeres as backup forwards. The entire squad value comes out to just under an impressive 1.1 billion euros, which will make them the fourth most valuable national squad in the world. Only France, Spain, and England will be more valuable. This means that they will be ahead of the likes of Portugal, Brazil, and Argentina. Not only are these nations footballing powerhouses, but Argentina has over double of Scandinavia's combined population, and Brazil has nearly 10 times the population. Even when combined, Scandinavia will be punching above their weight on a global footballing scale. As impressive as the most valuable Scandinavian 26-man squad is, that doesn't mean it's the squad that would be selected in this hypothetical situation. Squad value isn't everything, so I went ahead and made a few changes, and selected some players who I believe still deserve to make the squad, even if they aren't breaking any transfer records anytime soon. I didn't change the starting 11 too much. It does feel a bit criminal having Gyökeres on the bench, but if any strike partnership could keep him on the bench, it would be two of the most prolific goal scorers that the Premier League has to offer in Haaland and Isak. I also went back and forth with only having two midfielders given the wide range of options, but I decided that Elanga and Kulusevski wing duo would be too fun to keep on the sidelines. Feel free to let me know which changes you would make. The assistant manager position is still vacant. I did make a couple changes to the reserves, however, the first two being adding Kasper Schmeichel as well as Christian Eriksen to the squad. They may have seen better days, but I feel as if the Danish duo both have something to offer on the international stage, and it'll help bring some experience into what is a very young squad. Another player who maybe past his prime but could still be a bit of value is Denmark centre-back Andreas Christensen, and the Barcelona man always seems to step up on international duty. Some other players who I feel could be deserving of a spot in the squad but didn't quite make the cut is Denmark's Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Matt O'Reilly, and Mika Burrith, Sweden's Victor Lindelof and Yassine Ari, and Norway's Oscar Bob. Again, this is entirely subjective, and these picks are just my personal opinion. I just want to find a way to showcase all the talent this region has to offer so that we can tackle our eventual question. Could a combined Scandinavian national team win the European Championship? The short answer is yes. First of all, you have the argument on paper. Italy's Euro 2020 squad, which actually took place in 2021, had a total squad value of 726 million euros, and it's not like they were an unconventional champion. They were a favorite throughout the tournament. I mean, yeah, they lost to North Macedonia immediately after and were denied a spot at their second consecutive World Cup, but that's besides the point. And then you have the on-pitch product. The firepower of this hypothetical team is absolutely terrifying. Erling Haaland had 39 goal involvements last season, which was seen as a subpar season for his standards. Alexander Isak had the second most goals in the Premier League last season with 23. Victor Gyökeres' 39 goals for Sporting CP saw him finish runner-up to Kylian Mbappe in the European Golden Shoe, and ahead of the legs of Mo Salah, Robert Lewandowski, and Harry Kane. Alexander Sorloth finished 4th in the Liga Golden Boot race. Martin Odegaard and Christian Norgard are two of the most complete midfielders in the Premier League, and Joachim Andersen and Isaac Hein are both doing the rounds in some of Europe's finest leagues. There's zero reason Scandinavia can't win a European championship. One argument people make when it comes to combining national teams is that it would mean players from each nation wouldn't equally be represented, which is fair. This argument is common when it comes to discussing a hypothetical Great Britain national team, as the squad would likely be 99% Scottish. However, it's a little more even with Scandi. The most valuable squad contains 10 players from Denmark and 8 from Sweden and Norway. This comes out to 38% Danish players, 31% Swedish, and 31% Norwegian. This is incredibly balanced and offers a fair and pretty much equal representation to each of the three nations involved. One potential downside would be they would deny many players a chance to represent their country. Players such as Matt O'Reilly and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg are some of Denmark's finest midfielders, but they might not even have a spot in the squad on a combined Scandinavian side. However, the upside of this is that players will be subjected to higher levels of competition in a combined team. Erling Haaland is one of the greatest players in the world, but because he's Norwegian, he's yet to play in a major international tournament. This would give all players a chance to go toe-to-toe with some of Europe's heavyweight national teams, which may not always be the case due to the general small nature of these countries. Now, I might as well put on record that I don't actually think Scandinavia should combine into one national team. Each country is independent in their own sense and deserve to represent themselves on the international stage. Also, there might be some issues with team cohesion. There might be some chemistry problems. Denmark and Sweden kind of still have a law that allows them to beat the shit out of each other with sticks on a piece of ice. But if they ever want to combine, they'd have a damn good shot at winning the Euros. And if you guys need a manager, feel free to hit me up. I don't have much on, believe it or not. Or you could just pick Thomas Frank. That would probably make a lot more sense. Just don't pick Solskjaer. He'll probably play Haaland at right back and try to give Fred a Norwegian passport. Be sure to let me know how you think a Scandinavian national team would do in the Euros, and let me know what changes you would make, because you're definitely going to want to make some changes. And again, these are my opinions. Please don't petrol bomb my house because I put Kasper Schmeichel on the bench. I'm looking at you, Sweden. Can I say that? I don't know. Not like anyone's still watching.